Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you are seeing my lovely face and seeing Scott's lovely face, that means that this is another edition of the Polly Pompous or Pompously Political podcast. Yeah, we kind of interchange those names. It's kind of like our thing around this part. I'm of
There are
course
days when I forget what our actual name is. I just call it
yeah
Polypompous.
yeah because our website is Polly Pompous.
Our
Uh,
everything is
Yeah,
Polypompous.
yeah. Everything is polypompous except for our name, which is pompously political. So, which some people have expressed their enjoyment, their like of the polypompous name and brand. So, who knows? Polypompous is the thing, I guess. Uh,
Advertising companies pay us today.
woohoo! So as usual, we tend to flub this intro sort of bit where we forget to introduce ourselves or introduce ourselves in an awkward sort of way. So we're gonna try something new today. I am your gallant co-host Jimmy, and I am joined by gallant co-host, and he's gonna say his name.
I thought you were going to say like Trekkie Jimmy or something. I'd be like, I'm non-Trekkie Scott.
Oh, we're gonna go full nerd with. Okay, I am
Well, you do have that
Trek.
picture in the background.
Yeah, I do, ladies and gentlemen. Over my cameras are like mirrors in this part. Yeah, my left shoulder, you can kind of see my nerddom in the background there. Um, so yeah, non-Trekkie Jimmy, or no, I'm Trekkie, and
You're
you're
Trekkie. I'm
non-Trekkie.
not Trekkie.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Star Warsy.
He's Star Warsy and I'm Trekkie. So there we go.
Not like hardcore Star Warsy though. That's just weird.
So you don't base everything off of the Battle of Yavin 4. So.
I don't even know what you're talking about. So I really like the movies.
Yeah, yeah. Which, ladies and gentlemen, if you have been following the San Diego Comic-Con stuff, the Star Wars stuff they put out is amazing. I almost cried. Oh, Scott, if you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and look that junk up.
Should I
It is
do that
amazing.
now?
If
Can
you
you handle the
want.
show on me on your own while
We'll
out?
just see you put your hands up and start kicking your feet like a little kid just watching it because it's amazing. It's good stuff. Of course, J.J. Abrams is terrified. I'm pretty sure that dude's asshole is about the size of like a penny because he's so scared. He's like just clenching. It's
That's kind
so
of big.
tight.
A penny,
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm just
you
okay.
could
Let's
easily get a thumb in there.
okay. A grain of salt.
There we go. That's a little better.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just discovered Scott loves ass play. So, um,
Wow.
so J.J. Abrams' assholes, of course, is about the size of a grain of salt. There we go. Because he is terrified he's gonna screw up the trilogies, or more so than Lucas did with 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, so he's
E-
terrified.
Exactly, right there. There's nothing he can do to satisfy the hardcore crowd. No matter how this goes, it's going to be wrong. People are going to hate it, just like 1, 2, and 3. It. I liked 1, 2, and 3. I thought they were good.
Right. That's the thing. They're not that bad. They're not Spider-Man bad. Okay. When I say Spider-Man, I'm talking about the new ones with Andrew Garfield that were terrible. That if you watched it, you were just like, please reboot it again. And then people were listening because they're rebooting Spider-Man once again. So,
Nice.
uh, so
I like the Spider-Man movies. I like the Iron Man movies. I like the X-Men movies.
yeah, the thing about it is the original Spider-Man movies. If you gone back and watched those, man, like
Now, are
with
we
the
talking original like Tobey Maguire's?
yeah. Have you watched those recently?
No.
Okay. If you should go back and watch them with a little bit more, you know, matured, adulted eyes. I'm sure probably somewhat of an adult when you watched them before, but now that you're matured and then go back and watch them, especially with the way cinema is now, they don't hold a candle, man. They're pretty terrible.
Eh, I saw the ending portion to the one with Venom sometime last week, and I sat down and watched it for 20 minutes. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I can kind of see where you're coming from because it got to the end where like he's running around hitting all the pipes. It's like, drrrr. Like okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of crap. But I still liked them.
Hey, even because I'm a huge Batman fan, can't wait for the Batman versus Superman movie. And even then, the old Batman with Michael Keaton, it's my favorite Batmobile. And I still have trouble watching that movie. Like it's rough because it's old, it's dated.
Apparently, Ben Affleck made a pretty good Batman in these previews they're talking about.
Yes, yeah, he's. I watched that trailer, of course, and oh my god,
I don't
butter.
get the whole premise of it. I don't understand why Superman and Batman are fighting, or why there's only one person that's like, hey, you guys are on the same side.
I'll tell you, because did you watch Man of Steel? I know we're going into nerddom before we go.
I never really watched any of the Superman movies.
Okay, the new one, Man of Steel, you should watch it. I bet you would like it. It's not like a lot of superhero movies, and to the point where some Superman fans were kind of pissed off about the ending. I don't want to go into that because I don't want to spoil it for you. So just watch that movie. But he basically in the final, there's gonna be a final fight. In the final fight, he destroys like half of Metropolis trying to take down one bad guy, and so that kind of irritated people. But because of the events of Man of Steel, you see Wayne Tower get destroyed in the trailer and stuff like that, or Wayne Financial, which is in Metropolis, and Batman like rushing in to save the day, and it kind of looks very 9/11-esque. And so the whole premise behind it is that Superman has displayed an extraordinary amount of power. There's really nothing that the people of Earth could do to contain it. And just seeing that devastation, and of course, all those people in that tower were killed. There was a lot of casualties. Superman killed a lot of people. And so because of that, Bruce Wayne, or Batman, feels that he needs to rein him in. He needs to take him down, because nobody should have that much power. And so, of course, obviously everybody knows Batman and Superman are going to join forces at some point because they got to make the Justice League. So that's the whole premise behind it is Batman's already been a vigilante at this point. He knows the ropes, and he thinks that Superman is way too powerful and needs to be stopped.
So you've got the Superman aspect of this nailed down. Is this a continuation of like the Batman Beyonds or Beginnings?
No. Completely separated from the Christopher Nolan universe. And that's ended. That's gone. In this one, Batman is actually older than Superman, which is kind of weird because Superman I believe, is actually supposed to be older than Batman. The other aspect is that they're taking parts from Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, which is where there's an epic battle between Batman and Superman there. It'll be interesting. As far as more than that sort of information, I don't really know, but yeah, so we kind of got some information out there for the Comic-Con since that's this week.
There was also the bit about the next Wolverine movie is going to be like Old Man Logan, is what they said.
Ooh, have you read that, Scott?
No, I have not. And there's my son waving at the camera.
He's like, I'm famous now, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, but no, okay. Old Man Logan, Scott. You're up my alley right now in information because Old Man Logan is one of my favorite Wolverine stories.
Just so you know, I was a little scared when you started that sentence with "up my." After the first conversation that we had, there was a moment where I was like, "Oh."
You're like, up my penny-sized what? What? So no, but Old Man Logan, Scott, is essentially it's what you would categorize as an Elseworld tale. It's not in the main storyline, the main character arc.
Okay.
And it takes place in the future, where Red Skull, which is Captain America's main villain, I'm sure if you've seen Captain America, you saw Red Skull. Red Skull convinces all the supervillains to join forces, and there's more supervillains than there are superheroes. Just by the nature of it, like every superhero has like 5 supervillains.
Like the new Magneto.
Right. So he gets them to all join forces to take out the superheroes, and they win. They basically murder off all the superheroes in the Marvel
what superheroes are we talking about?
We're talking all of them. We're talking Captain America's been killed. We're talking Shit. Ant-Man's been killed. We're
Iron Man.
talking Iron Man has been killed. Uh, all of them. The X-Men are gone. The only one that's left, there's only two that are essentially left.
Wait,
That
how can you kill Jean Grey? She's the Phoenix.
well, Jean Grey was killed a long time ago.
Okay, well, how do you kill the Phoenix then?
Well,
Or is she not a hero?
she was killed. She was killed by Scott, actually, Cyclops, in the comics, because she felt guilty because she destroyed an entire planet with her power, and so she let Scott kill her. Yeah, and then she came back as the White Phoenix for a minute, but then she kind of went off into space. So she's not in the story. But all the ones that are on Earth are gone. Thor's been killed. In fact, they have a place called Hammer's Fall where Thor's hammer is, and then people just go up to it and try and pick it up, but they can't because nobody is worthy enough to pick it up. So the only two that are left is Hawkeye, because they blinded Hawkeye. You know, Hawkeye's the bow and arrow guy, and so he's blinded, so he can't use his bow and arrow, right? And then Logan, Wolverine, and the reason Wolverine decides that he's a pacifist because he murdered a lot of the superheroes on accident because this supervillain, I think it was Mysterio, I think is what his name is, made him think that all his friends were villains, and so he murdered a bunch of his friends, and so he lost his mind and decided that he would never pop his claws again. And then that's where the story takes place is he has to make money in order to save his family's ranch, which is ran by the Hulk is still around. Is ran by Hulk's like grandkids or whatever, and so he has to raise money to get it, or this Hulk family is going to murder him and murder his family. And so he goes on a road trip with Hawkeye, who blind Hawkeye, mind you, is driving a Humvee, and they have to get from one side of the country to the other in order to get this shipment of materials. It's like a smuggling sort of story. Really bloody, really gory, amazing. Just read it. I think I have a copy somewhere.
I don't really do comic books. I'll just wait for the movie.
Oh, you're hurting my soul, Scott. Hurting my soul. You're hurting my penny-sized soul. So yeah, man.
Yeah, so that whole interaction that we just had kind of summed up my interest in comic books. And you can tell at the beginning I was really interested because I go back to my kid days of watching Spider-Man and X-Men cartoons on TV on Saturday morning. Yeah, and then you start getting into all the really technical shit, and it's like, I don't care. Not interested anymore.
Yeah, see, that's I'm the opposite, man. I'm like a big kid with it. I love the lore of it. It's almost like ancient Greek myths to me. Like you just think of all these characters and they're just larger in life, and so yeah, people ask me questions all the time.
To talk to me about like Smite or Warcraft, I know a ton of Warcraft lore. I could get interested in that. I just standard comic book stuff. No, they don't really appeal to me anymore. They just got really complex, I guess.
It is. You are absolutely right because you have the DC stuff. You have the multiverse. So you have like 5 different versions of Batman, or even more than that, like 1 billion different versions of Batman, and so forth. To the point where DC thought it was too complex, and then they tried to compact it all. Excuse me. And in Marvel, it's the same problem. Marvel, there's so many different versions of characters that it's like, how do you keep all the lore straight? And that's where people like me come in.
I was sorting through some of my stuff a couple weeks ago, and I found Superman comics from when I was a kid when they transferred him into the blue Superman. Do you remember that?
Yeah. That was that after I think it was after the death of Superman. Death of Superman was in like the early 90s.
Yeah, it was after that.
Yeah, and they killed off Superman. Everyone was pissed off, so they brought him back.
And then he transformed into this like blue. I thought it looked really cool. Like I still really like that design, but he didn't last very long before they reverted back to the old school one. Right.
Yeah, because people don't like it when you mess with their heroes, man. Like even. Well, what a lot of people don't realize is the black Spider-Man suit was a test to see if people would like the black Spider-Man, As you know what I mean? Like they took away the red and the blue and the webs and stuff and just made it black. And everyone was like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? And everybody freaked out, and so then they obviously had to revert back somehow, and I think that's where the Venom storyline came from.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, man, we've gone off on a huge tangent, but I
Well,
love
that's
it.
a quarter of the episode.
Well, we had Comic-Con, man, so that kind of feeds into it.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and roll into the news, if that's cool with you, with the only sort of geeky bit of news that we have. To kind of roll in with that.
Sure. I guess the only thing I would point out is that we just watched Order of the Phoenix. Do you know how many people are in that damn movie?
Like loads, man. Tons.
No, I mean like from other science fiction series.
Oh yeah.
Because you had the governor's son or whatever the hell it was. That's Doctor Who.
Yeah,
and then you had Diggory that was like Twilight sparkly guy.
Yeah.
Edward. Remember? Yeah, there we go.
Then you had what's his face in there, or what's her face, more appropriately. She played in Fight Club. She was also
Helena
married
Bonham
to
Carter.
Tim Burton. She was in that as well.
Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah. I just know her because she looks like somebody with mental illness, which means I probably.
She always plays somebody that's like batshit crazy. I think I've seen one movie where she played like a normal, semi-normal person.
Right.
She wasn't nearly as entertaining in that one.
But I mean, you don't get to look normal if you were. They're now divorced, if I remember correctly. But she was married to Tim Burton for decades, man. So yeah, she probably has some issues there.
A little bit.
So some sadness, Scott. There's some sadness in my heart today.
There is terrible, terrible news.
So one of the people he's a huge name at one of the largest corporations that has influenced my childhood, Nintendo. Satoru Iwata.
He has influenced the childhood of our entire generation. I mean,
right? Yeah.
Nintendo was a staple of growing up.
Oh yeah. If you were a kid from our era and you didn't at least play one Nintendo game, you didn't have a childhood, man. You might as well be like Michael Jackson and own a Neverland Ranch and just yeah. But yeah, so Satoru Iwata he was the president of Nintendo. Died at the
55.
age of 55.
Yeah, that was very young.
I couldn't find it was something to do with a cancerous growth, is what I read. But of course, he's attributed to he worked on the Nintendo Wii. He also worked on the DS and also the GameCube. He worked on Kirby, if you know what Kirby is. He also worked on Balloon Fight, which is one of the original black box games. So one of the original, I think, 30 games for Nintendo. He worked on that one. He also worked on Earthbound, which is a Super Nintendo game, which is worth, oh man, upwards to a couple $100. It's a pretty valuable game. It's very well sought out. It's a very well done game too. So he's worked on some pretty notable titles. He's also a fan favorite just simply because even though he is an individual or was an individual that was at the top, the pinnacle of Nintendo, if you will, he's very influential in the Nintendo brand. But he still maintained himself as one of us. He was a gamer. There's a quote about him saying that, even though my business card says that I'm a president of a corporation, at heart I'm a gamer. So he will be missed, and I'm sure that there's going to be a void to fill in there, and I hope somebody amazing comes in and fills those shoes because they're pretty big shoes to fill. So
they most definitely are.
So yeah, man. So that's we kind of went off on a tangent, but it was perfect because, like I said, man, we're in Comic-Con territory right now. There's so much stuff coming out, trailers, amazing stuff.
Well, pulling out of the world of comics, but still staying in Japan, or wherever we were, The Women's World Cup. United States beats Japan, takes it all. First
Yep.
off, they beat Germany, and then we beat Japan. Sounds like a story we've heard before.
Oh, man. Let's drop a major bomb on that story, if you will, Scott.
Hope Solo?
Hoo-hoo. There's a little Hiroshima Nagasaki joke there. Bad
Oh.
taste, bad taste.
I thought you were talking about the ongoing issues with Hope Solo beating the shit out of her brother. Or
Oh,
brother-in-law,
no.
whoever it was.
No.
There was a whole thing on ESPN last time I got my haircut that we were watching. Don't know all the details on it because I came in, a third of the way through it. That basically she was facing getting kicked off the team because she's facing prosecution for beating up her brother and sister or something like that.
Yeah.
One of
Domestic
those
violence.
things that was interesting, but I didn't care enough to really pay that much attention to it.
Yeah. It's one of those things that we've heard so much domestic violence come out of sports that it's just like, in one ear out the other. I mean,
Yeah.
Ray Rice punching the shit out of his fiance. And then, of course, he is able to play football again. If I remember correctly, he's going
Once he was kind enough to drag her limp body out of the elevator.
That is a courtesy move there, Ray Rice. But let's look at the
Piece
score.
of shit. Anyways, go ahead.
The score, man, because they faced Germany. That was on June 30th. They faced them, the semifinals, and the score was 2-0. USA obviously took that. Germany didn't even get a point in. That's pretty good.
Mhm.
But of course, 2 points. That's not a whole lot, but specifically for a soccer game.
Well, in the game before that, I'd actually watched. I think they played China. They only won 1-0. Like the whole
Yeah.
game was very clearly in the U.S.'s favor, but they only scored once, which was
Yeah, they faced
crazy.
They faced China in the quarterfinals.
Yep.
Yeah, and they only won by 1 point. And then of course when they faced Japan, it was 5-2. So they, it's pretty much an
found their
annihilation
magic
there.
feet.
Yeah, and so that's obviously, I'm sure all those people are on cloud nine. Of course, out of this came wage inequality discussion. I guess that women's soccer isn't paid as much as men's soccer, or something like that. I haven't
Because
read too
why
much
not
on
just
that.
enjoy it? Let's make it a controversy.
Right. So I did
What are
see
we
that.
offended about today?
Yeah. I did see that in the news, but I was more happy that we had won, because obviously we didn't win the men's World Cup. So, well, at least we
We
won
suck
something.
at men's soccer.
Oh, yeah,
Like
that's true.
we're terrible.
Let's see here. So yeah, man, that's crazy to think that we actually won something for a change, and something like soccer. Soccer's like the world sport. Football
Yeah,
maybe
and
America's.
we're world champions of a sport that's actually played in the entire world. As opposed to football and basketball and baseball.
Right, yeah. Which is, it's sweet. Man. Woohoo! And if Hope Solo feels the need to punch her siblings over her inability to play, because I don't think she played in this game because of that, right? She wasn't.
No, she was playing.
Oh, she played?
I know she was in the China game. I didn't watch the other two.
Okay. So her incident wasn't severe enough that they didn't need to utilize her. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
I was impressed that this is going to be very misogynistic of me, so get the fuck over it. I don't care. I was actually surprised. A good portion of that team is quite attractive.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, because I mean they're athletic people, man. That's what they do. Your whole job is to play a sport and to be at the peak physical ability to play that sport. So yeah, I mean, and in any other flip side, you could flip that over and say that the Americans team, the American men's team, they're attractive too. I mean, come on. They're all good-looking people, and I'm sure if they intermingled, they would make good-looking soccer-playing babies. So there we go. I helped dig you out of that misogynistic hole, Scott. that one super feminist listener is like, that's not fair.
We just lost one of our 3 listeners.
What is he doing?
No. If you're still listening at this point after some of the shit we've said on these episodes, I don't think that's going to kick you off.
Oh man. So
Unless, of course, you just found us, in which case, I'm not sorry. Get the fuck over it.
if you have just found us, just know Scott's like the grumpy uncle of the duo here. He's kind of the individual. He's like, I hate everything. I hate it.
It's not that I hate everything. It's I hate politically correctness. Or being politically correct. Political correctness, however you want to say it.
Which that will be
Bane of our civilization right now.
Yeah, that will be our topic today, ladies and gentlemen. So stay tuned for that. We also had, aside from that, man, of course, some President or POTUS news come up. President with the Vice, Vice Media. They're the ones to do the Vice News and also the Vice on HBO. They documented him going to a maximum security prison, the first president to ever do that. And he asked them questions about how to make their lives better, what's going on, how can we fix this situation, sort of thing. So it was really interesting. And then, of course, the follow-up to that is he then pardoned 46 nonviolent drug offenders who had been serving close to life sentences and stuff. The video, tremendous. If you had it pulled up, I would say pull that on, share that, and let people watch it. But because it's really amazing to see the president. He's like, look, man, all these people right here, they have served their time for something that today, if they were to be arrested, they would be completely done with their time by now. So it's good for him to acknowledge that, being the first president to do that. So say what you will about our current president, about how you don't like him, how he's a communist, how he's a Muslim or whatever, an Islamist. It's all bullshit. The guy is doing the best he can, and he's doing amazing things. So.
Well, he is, and anyone with half a brain can see that. But when you're so dug into party lines and rhetoric that's just issued that you're supposed to follow blindly, that's the only people that are really out there screaming about how terrible Obama is, because he really, when you put the statistics up with Obama compared to everybody else, you start losing your footing when it comes to ground to stand on to criticize him, because he is much more effective and has had much more of an impact than most presidents.
Right. He's gotten a bum rap, and I'm pretty sure that history will be kind to him. I really do, because he's done, pardoning people at this level. Like, he basically went there and was like, yeah, this is bullshit, and I'm the president. Bam, dropped a mic. 46 people are released from prison, sort of thing. And we're, again, like, we could get into the nuances of the healthcare legislation. We can get all sorts of things on that. But the thing about a person's legacy is judged by the person's overall character and what he's willing to do in the position he's in. And of all the presidents that I have dealt with, he's one of the ones that seems to legitimately care about your individual well-being. You know what I mean? As opposed to, oh, I'm the president, I'm supposed to stand on this podium here and tell you that I care about you. I talk, like Ronald Reagan talking about how there's a war on drugs and basically the cause of all this problem, because he wanted to make it look like he cared. He really didn't. It was all about money. Let's be honest. So.
What is the name of that video? Because I cannot find. I see a bunch of things that says he's going to go, but I don't see a video about him actually going.
Just type in YouTube Obama 46 people pardon something, and it's just him, and he's sitting at his desk, and he's you hear him talking, and then he starts signing pardons. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
While you're looking for that, I'll kind of roll into the next little bit here, because it kind of plays into a similar sort of thing. Of course, we're well familiar with the Eric Garner case, Scott.
Very much so.
Yeah, it's one of the few issues that when we were talking about the militarization of police force, way back to one of our first episodes, that we were both in agreement that like that was clearly excessive force.
Right. It's
And
it's one of, I think, two instances of police brutality where we are like, no issues. We both completely agree on everything. It was completely wrong. Whereas the rest of them, we have our disagreements.
So for starters, let me give you the bad news, is that the where'd my article go? I had the article pulled up, then I moved it. Live television or podcasting, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so the officers that were involved were not indicted. That's the first thing. So there's no justice as far as somebody being held accountable for it. On the other hand, the New York City and the family of Eric Garner have reached a settlement of $5.9 million. So the family's going to receive $5.9 million from the city as payment for the acts that even the coroner ruled that the chokehold was the cause of Eric Garner's death. So it's kind of, they'll get a little bit of retribution in there, a little bit of justice in a situation. It's overall shitty. It's a shitty situation.
Yeah, 5.9 seems to be a little low.
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to be. They had started out at 75 million, is where they were at. Is what the initial claim was for, and so they talked it down to 5.9 million, which I don't know about you, but even though it sounds a little low for at least for the value of a human life, 5.9 million is enough money to kind of live comfortably on if you're smart about it. And so that'll be it's kind of good that the family gets something out of that. I'm never saying that money is a corrective action, or the receiving of money is a corrective action for something like that, but
well, that's what the military does overseas. Whenever we accidentally kill somebody we're not supposed to, we go pay the family.
Yeah, which it sounds terrible to think about, like, oh, here's some money for your lost family member that you'll never get back. But at least it's something, you know what I mean? It's something in that direction. I think that, of course, in the cases where we've clearly messed up, like the police force, I think there should be a little bit more accountability, particularly for that officer.
The fact that they're not going to be charged is absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can have a court case that finds that they were wrong in what they did, there should be some follow-up there. Not just, well, they were wrong, here's some money, that's too bad.
Right. Well, the thing is the coroner said that it was the cause of his death, but the judge didn't want to indict him on that sort of thing. So there's an investigation as to what's going on there. However, I will state that of all the cases that have come out of police brutality lately, he's one of the only that actually verbally apologized to the family. So that says something to that guy's character. I mean,
it says something to his character, but it doesn't change anything.
Right. It doesn't excuse it. It doesn't excuse it, but at least the person is like, he's willing to be like, man, I messed up. So then you can see yourself.
He's not being indignant like those jackasses in Baltimore.
Right. He's not. He's somewhat taking responsibility. I wish he would be like, you know what? But nobody's ever going to do that. Nobody's going to ever put themselves in jail because they did something.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But it's good to hear that he at least apologized for it. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there's a little bit of update in that case. $5.9 million to the family. It's amazing that they got something out of that. So, yeah, still looking for the video?
No, I found it. I've had it for a while.
Oh, okay. We'll go ahead and play that video real quick and get your thoughts on that, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we are live, so you can live tweet us right now. You can Facebook us. If you're listening right now, be sure to hit us up on that, and we'll respond back to you. So we might even read your tweet on here. Then you'll be famous, right? Because we're celebrities, Scott.
Internet famous. All right, here we go.
Oh, we can't hear it though.
Really?
Can you hear it? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay.
Hang on. Mute yours real quick.
The
Okay.
overall crime rate and incarceration rate both fallen. In 2 years, will become aware of the inequities in the criminal justice system. The fact that we spend over $80 billion a year in incarcerating people, oftentimes who've only been engaged in nonviolent drug offenses. Right now, with our overall crime rate and incarceration rate both falling, we're at a moment when some good people in both parties, Republicans and Democrats, and folks all across the country are coming together around ideas to make the system work smarter, make it work better. And I'm determined to do my part wherever I can. That's one of the reasons why I'm commuting the sentences of 46 prisoners who were convicted many years, or in some cases, decades ago. These men and women were not hardened criminals, but the overwhelming majority had been sentenced to at least 20 years. 14 of them had been sentenced to life for nonviolent drug offenses. So their punishments didn't fit the crime. And if they'd been sentenced under today's laws, nearly all of them would have already served their time. I've made clear to them that re-entering society is going to require responsibility on their part, and hard work, and smarter choices. But I believe that at its heart, America is a nation of second chances. And I believe these folks deserve their second chance. I also believe there's a lot more we can do to restore the sense of fairness at the heart of our justice system, and to make sure our tax dollars are well spent, even as we are keeping our streets safe. That's something I'm going to discuss tomorrow in Philadelphia, where I'm going to lay out some ideas for criminal justice reform, many of which are already getting bipartisan support. Together, we can make our communities safer. We can spend our taxpayer dollars more wisely, and we can make sure that more of our citizens, even those who've made mistakes, have a chance to become productive members of society and contribute to this country that we love.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. So, nah. There we go. We kind of have a buzz going on. Sound. Oosh noise, so.
Oh, that's the fan overhead.
Oh, okay. It quieted down, so we're good. I think it was
I
just
plugged my the speakers back into my headphones too, so
Ah,
we're good.
cool. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, so
No fancy transitions here. You get to see everything we do.
yeah, because we're all live, man. This is that's the unreal part about being live is you get the candid responses of myself, Jimmy, and Scott here, because we we just make shit up at the top of our heads and play videos when we feel like playing videos. So, and hopefully you enjoyed that. I think it's awesome. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Scott? After hearing that.
Well, he made some good points, and pardoning, 46 people is a good start, but there's a lot more to be done. I mean, we've talked about the prison system before, about how it's switching to privately owned, where we're getting paid by how many people we have in there. It's incentive to imprison more people wrongly. That there's some systemic changes that are going to happen, because it's a good start, but it's not. It doesn't even scratch the iceberg.
Right. And of course, the ending the war on drugs would be a tremendous start to that. And so fully support where he's going with this, and I hope that it leads in the direction that I am thinking, which is ending the war on drugs. So, yeah. Should we roll into what else we got? We got the China stock market. You want to talk about that, and then roll into
Well,
our
you were
topic?
talking about. I don't know if we're gonna have time to do the topic tonight. We're still getting through the news.
Okay.
But since we were talking about the drug war, we talk about El Chapo.
Oh yeah. Not to be confused with Chappie, which is that Diane Antwoord movie that I haven't seen. Have you seen it, Scott?
We rented it to watch it the other night, and then ended up taking it back to Redbox because just didn't want to watch it.
Just the name alone. But we're not talking about that Chappie. We're talking about Chapo. Yeah, he's a kind of renowned drug dealer that was caught in Mexico. One of the if you remember a couple of years back, there's a huge push by the Mexican drug cartels that were kind of pissed off and killing people at the border. He's one of those people, and he was arrested. They caught him, and he's now escaped. He escaped, if you will. He crawled through a tunnel, not quite as Shawshank Redemption style as those New York people did, but he did escape out of a tunnel, and promptly decided to threaten Donald Trump on Facebook. If you had the tweet, do you still got the tweet pulled up, man?
Let me check. Yep, I've got it pulled up. He called. Donald Trump had actually started it. It said some things about El Chapo. So it basically said he embodies everything that is wrong with Mexico, and added that he would kick his ass. So once he got out, he responded, "If you keep pissing me off, I'm gonna make you eat your words, you fucking blonde milkshake." Which apparently in Mexico, a milkshake is a homophobic slur.
Wow.
Did not know that's a very interesting way of putting it, but I'm gonna keep that one in mind. Wow.
Holy cow. You kind of walked into that one, Donald Trump. You don't pick a fight with somebody who is arrested for murdering people and then go, "Yeah, I'll kick his ass." What balls do you have to have, Donald Trump, that you're like saying you'll kick drug cartel leaders' asses? Like, there's no concept of fear here for Donald Trump. The guy's insane.
Yeah,
you really want that guy as your president, ladies and gentlemen?
With $9 billion, you can buy a pretty damn good security force.
True. But you know what? Even then, like, what's the point? Even if I had $1.9 billion or how much, like, I still, like, there's nobody that's believing you, Donald Trump, that you're going to kick this guy's ass. In fact, I would pay money to see that. If you want to make money, if you want to continue making wealth because you're a businessman, I want to put you in a ring with El Chapo, who's, again, he's killed people, man. It's his thing in brutal ways. That's like, being like me going, time traveling and saying that I'm gonna go kill Hitler. Like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to get to Hitler. I just show up and go, "Oh, well, I'm here to kill Hitler now," and and walk up there and shoot him. No, that's not how it works, man. So Donald Trump, he kind of walked into that, but yeah, he escaped, and now he's looking for Donald Trump. He's that mad. He's like, "Oh, that motherfucker."
Oh, you may not have to worry about voting for Donald Trump in the presidential election. He may not be around anymore. He's gonna pull a Jimmy Hoffa.
Oh man, they still haven't found that guy's body, man. How many years? This is decades, man.
Oh, they'll never find his body. He's probably at the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
That sounds like a Bond villain type thing. We're gonna put his body at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, where only James Cameron will go. If Donald Trump was to get murdered, that's what would happen. It'd be the greatest, most extravagant murder you'll ever have seen in the history of murders.
That's very good, Trump, sir. Very good.
I gotta hold on. This is my Donald Trump. My hair's all messed up. I'm running for president. Some Mexicans are good. Some are rapists. In fact, all of them are rapists, but then some of them are good.
You suppose.
Yeah, I suppose. I am a billionaire. I make money. That's what I do.
That's very good. I'm actually quite impressed right now.
We should have a whole series of me just acting out the news. Oh, goodness gravy. Speaking of other presidential candidates, man, Hillary on the other side of the fence. Hillary wanted to be president since the day she was born. She came out of the womb with waving a Hillary 2016 flag, I'm sure.
No, she was probably waving the 1992 flag, and Bill made her wait.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was like, "It's my turn." It's my turn to fucking intern. That's my Bill.
It's not too bad. It's not as good as your Trump, but it's okay.
I'll work on that. I'll work on that to get it better. So
But it's
Hillary,
surprising that she's in the news because she's kind of fallen off with all the talk about Bernie Sanders here lately.
yeah, yeah.
So what's she
And
doing to be relevant again?
okay, so of course to counteract the Sanders momentum, if you will, because Sanders is become the champion of the left right now. He's pulling in crowds. We talked about him I think on the last podcast. She's making her main agenda item wage inequality for male, female, and just people working a minimum wage, raising the minimum wage, that sort of stuff. So she's trying to make herself more marketable to the less than moderate Democrats. Hillary's always been good with moderate Democrats. Bernie is, of course, for the more left than center type Democrats. And so she's trying to secure that by appealing to them with this sort of rhetoric. Although everybody's seeing through it. Nobody's believing her that she'll do anything really spectacular about it. She's a moderate.
Not with her list of backers, she won't.
Yeah, she's backed mainly by banks and super PACs, if I'm not mistaken. I think Bernie Sanders has raised about like $5 million, and it's been mainly from like unions and like public donors, like people just giving money,
Yeah.
not like PACs or super PACs or anything like that. So you can see the trail of money, and it's leading more in towards Bernie Sanders' favor as to where the money's coming from. So that'll be interesting. If Bernie Sanders can secure the nomination, I will vote for Bernie Sanders.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt for that. It's going to be close, though.
Oh, yeah.
Not really. You started to talk about, I guess, the specifics of the wage inequality she's addressing. Is she doing gender gap pay issues? You said minimum wage. Are we talking about the 1% and the 1% of the 1%? Is she addressing all of those, or is she just women should get paid equally?
She's doing all of those.
Okay.
She's not focusing on one specific, because it's one of those issues that if you were to narrow it down, like if you were just like, oh yeah, women not being paid as like, was it like 20 cents less or something like that than their male counterparts? I can't remember the statistic on that. But if she was just go, that's what I'm going after, then yeah, she'd have a great time bringing in the women's vote.
I still think that statistic is off. I don't believe that one.
I don't know. I don't know on that. I don't know what it's
because I've also seen statistics. The reasoning behind that is my understanding, and we've had this conversation before, was that with that statistic specifically, it takes into account a lot of factors that skew the numbers. Whereas if you were to do it I guess an apples-to-apples comparison of a man in this role and a woman in this exact same role, how they get paid, my understanding is that women actually get paid more. But somehow with that 81 or 83 or whatever it is number that's come out, which is obviously the one to come to, because it's unequal, we've got to fix that. There are things like women with college degrees that are like part-time working mothers, so they don't go after a full-time job because they're focusing on being a mom, but they're still rolled into that. Well, this woman with a college degree makes this, while this man with a college degree makes this. Never mind the fact that the man is working full-time while the woman has chosen not to. It's things like that that skew the numbers off. So it's not a true apple-to-apple comparison, I guess is the phrase for it.
Well, you also have to take into account when it comes to STEM jobs, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, scholastic, academic type jobs, jobs for people with big brains. It is disproportionately populated by males. There's not as many women that are in that field. You know what I mean? Yet it's increasing. We will acknowledge that it is increasing. Even was it Mayim Bialik or something who was on a Big Bang Theory show, who holds like a PhD in like physics or something, or no, biology, some sort of like microbiology or something. Anyway, she's got a bigger brain than mine. Um, and thing about it is there are extraordinary women that are in the field of STEM type positions, but could there potentially be gender nepotism because it has been historically an all males club in so much that it could affect their pay? It's possible, but I don't know, because it's very difficult because we're, let's face it, Scott, we're white privileged males. We don't we see it in statistics. We see it in billboards and stuff, or billboard ads of how this is wrong, and and we should support it not being wrong or something. So we just have that issue there of we're detached from it. So I think it'd be real interesting if we get a science. We should get a scientist, Scott. We should have a scientist on board to help us with science stuff. What do we got today? Why does Donald Trump's hair look like moss? And then she comes on with the scientific formula as to why Donald Trump's hair is the way it is. I think it's what we should do.
We live in a society that is based on instant gratification and based on everybody being a winner.
Right.
That's kind of what we've devolved to.
Right.
So when we look at something like the women's rights movements, the 4 or 5 of them that have occurred over the last 120 years, we would expect that would be fixed by now. And to some extent, it should. I mean, there are aspects of it that should be more improved than what it is. But much as the argument with the Bible goes, we can pretty much prove that the Bible is a load of crap. But you still have those hardline Christians that aren't ever going to listen to what you say. It's going to be their way or the highway. They're the ones that are in control. It's the same in science and technology. It's the men that it's their way or the highway, and they're the ones that are in control. They're the ones that are calling the shots. It's going to take a while to get women to work up into those positions to really start. We're in the stage now where they are working into those positions. After the 60, 80 years they've had to do that. But it's also, there's been a shift in the cultural norm, whereas up until the 70s, the 80s, a woman's role was at home, raising the kid. And just the last 30, 40 years, it's been okay. It's been now even kind of a requirement for the woman to also work. So you really got to put all this stuff into context about why statistically there's not as many. It's not because there's a problem. It's not because the problem is still ongoing. It's not because we haven't addressed the problem enough. We've addressed it. It's getting fixed. It's just these things take time. We have to stop expecting that this is going to be an instantaneous fix. You're not going to pass a law. I heard a great speech about black rights in America that basically said just because we passed a law that said that blacks have equal rights does not mean that our problems were fixed. It was a great step, put us in the right direction, but it didn't fix anything. You didn't wake up the next morning and go, hey, everybody's equal, because you still got all the people who are resistant to change. We didn't fix racism in this country because we have a black president. It was a great step. It was an individual accomplishment, though. It was not a societal accomplishment. Yeah.
I see what you're saying, and you're right. That it's one of those battles that just because a piece of legislation goes through, as far as gender inequality in the workplace, that doesn't mean that that's the end of the discussion. It's like, oh, we got a black president, racism is dead. No, there's still racists that exist, and as long as those racists exist, as long as there's sexism that exists, it'll always be there. The question is what do you do, and how do you counteract that? And the way you counteract that is by raising awareness for issues like that, and B, like doing your part. Like if you're a woman in the field of STEM, or a businesswoman, or in a position where you are of authority and you make money, speak out to your experiences, do something about it, and make it pave the way so that the next generation of people to go into that position have it a little bit easier. That's the only way you can do it. Obviously, then raises the question of, oh well, then if you uh, get ambulance chasers or people that are always crying wolf about, oh, inequality, 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 I'm being treated unfairly because I'm a woman, or we've heard it's because I'm black. The thing about it is this, when people don't want to hear the dirty side of things. People don't want to hear that racism exists because they believe it's over. People don't want to hear that women may potentially have issues in the workplace because it's the types of things that we should have already been over, But it doesn't mean that their voice is less valid or that it's not occurring. It means that it's just that we're tired of hearing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when we got people that are complaining about gender equality in video games, for instance, to the point where people are getting threatened about it. We talked about that in the Gates of the World episode with Gamergate. People need to pay attention to that. They need to realize that it's an important shit, man. If I have a daughter, I hope she gets all the money she deserves for the work she puts in, if she's doing work,
Yeah.
Who's to say my kid could be a dropout deadbeat? Who knows?
Well,
Let's hope she's successful.
You got to look at this like how we used to look at the Iraq War or the Afghan War.
Right.
The first, as soon as we went in, it was a big change. It's like, whoa, what is this? What are we getting into? And then
Right.
the tactics changed, and we had to adjust around that. And then there was a very clear delineation between the stupid terrorist and the smart terrorist. And that delineation was we killed all the stupid ones. Either that or they killed themselves. They blew themselves up trying to make bombs. It was the smart ones that knew how to blend in, that knew how to strike behind the scenes, that lasted and that are still causing chaos over there now. It's the same thing with these issues when it gets passed. Whenever it passes, oh my God, it's going to be a big change. And all the stupid people, especially for, we'll say, women's equality, the guy at work that's calling everybody toots, he's the first one that got it. And he's the
Right.
first one that everybody went after and they fixed it. His boss that felt the exact same way but knew that he couldn't open his mouth and actually say that, he's the smart one. That's the one that sticks around that we're just now starting to get to.
Right. And yeah, there's so much truth behind that because even you can see it at all levels. I was talking to somebody that she was female that was interviewed for a job, and just some of the questions she gets for being a woman for a job that's that she does she plan on having children? Have you ever got asked that, Scott, in an interview? Do you plan on having children?
It's an illegal question.
It's one of those questions that it has nothing to do with their qualifications, yet it's frequently asked. Apparently.
It can't be asked. It's illegal.
Right, but it gets asked all the time. Questions like that. And questions like, what was another one? There's a whole there's a post that an article or something I read about it because I stumbled across it after talking to this friend of mine. I was like, wow, this is interesting that this exists, that this other world of interview ethics. But questions like, how do you feel about workplace relationships? I've never been asked that. You know what I mean? Maybe it's the beard. Maybe they're like, oh, that guy's ugly. He's not going to try to pursue anybody in the office. I don't know. But the thing about it is it's just not a question that belongs in a workplace interview, and they get asked. And yes, a lot of them are illegal, and they should not be asked, but they are. And it's just because that's what everybody knows. And it's those smart ones that are asking it and then getting away with it. It's not the guy who's going, nice rack,
But there is, I guess, some education going on in that regards. I can tell you from experience, my wife, with her being pregnant, she just got her certification and was doing the job search and everything. And we had that conversation about, well, what do you do if somebody brings up the pregnancy? And
Right.
her answer has always been, it's none of their business. If they ask that question, I'll tell them I'm not going to answer. It's not pertinent to the job, and move on to the next question. And we're at the point now where if they ask that question and you decline to answer and you don't get the job, they are now opening the door to be sued into oblivion for
Right, but
hiring inequality.
you got to think about the individual that's in that interview. They're in that interview because they need that job, right? For the most part. So you go in that interview, and I'm sure a lot of people they're kind of taken back by the line of questioning that they get. But then at the same token, they're like, if I just play ball, then I'll get the job, and then I'll make money, and I'll be able to, this is just one little tiny unpleasantry to get to the reward at the end of the tunnel,
Yeah, but at the same time, if that is what it is, because back up, the interview is not just about you, the person that's being interviewed. You are also trying to find out if that is a place you actually want to work. It may seem like your dream job, but if you go in and you start getting questions like that, that's not your dream job. If they're going to pull questions like that are so explicitly out of bounds in the very first time that is an indicator of things to come. That is very likely a job you're not going to want to work at anyways.
And those are probably the organizations, the corporations that are paying you unfairly because you're, not a male. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean so that means that it's potentially something that does exist as far as income inequality in those sorts of environments. But again, like if it's a job that you're like, hey man, I really need this job, and so I'm just gonna, just grin and bear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then, yeah, I could see that sort of thing, that being the environment that needs to thrive. So I think, of course, the remedy then, Scott, would be like, should I take this job? Be a little bit more choosy about it.
There's people have really got to understand, and you have to love yourself. Like that is the most important thing. You cannot knowingly put yourself into a position out of desperation where you know you're going to be miserable. If that is what's coming out and you are already getting those signs, you do not need that job that bad.
Well, on top of that, I don't want to put it all on the person being interviewed, right? Because it's not her fault. She didn't expect to go into that job. It should be an employer's responsibility to screen the people that they have in power, to know, like, hey, if this guy is the guy around the office that you know something's up with him, and then you still put him in that position, and he gets in an interview and he acts inappropriately like that, they need to take, the company itself needs to take responsibility for the environment that they've created, whether it be how much the person is getting paid, or simple things like being interviewed. So
you can also flip that, and if you are asked those questions, contact senior management or the upper corporate level management of the company and report it.
Yeah, you should.
Or sue them, whichever.
Right. Sue it. Yeah. Sue
if you want a chance at still getting into that company, go to the corporate level. If you don't care and you don't ever want to work again, sue them.
It's really difficult. So yeah, man, we've kind of hit the wall again, Scott.
And we didn't even get to everything. We didn't even get to have our discussion. I've been jonesing to have this discussion too.
I think here's what I think we should do, Scott. I think we should make our next episode all about the topic, which the topic we were going to get to, ladies and gentlemen, was we were going to talk about political correctness and the polarization of American politics. With respects to political correctness. Obviously, we've had some issues with
the death of an educated society.
Right. Because we live in an era where everything you say is policed. You could say something that may be slightly inappropriate, and then you're getting condemned for it. People lose their jobs over things they say now. That it's unreal. I mean, everybody knows about the Keith Richards N-word moment. Everybody knows about the of course, Donald Trump, who's a walking gaffe machine. We know about the Sarah Palins. We know about all this stuff. And people that you say one word, and it could be the end of your life. or your end of your career at least. And
Or
what I wanted to.
one dick pic and you're done.
Oh yeah. One dick pic, ladies and gentlemen. Snapchat is not a thing that should exist. That's all I'm saying. Which people make mistakes, man, and that's kind of what we want to talk about on that discussion. So I think that we should do that for next week's episode, man.
You should.
So if you guys got questions in regard to just the upcoming topic or questions that you want to clear the air on something we've already discussed in this episode or episodes prior, I don't care, it could be anything. Just ask us questions, man. We'll probably open up. I'll probably set up an event on Facebook so that you can RSVP your viewership and get your questions in there. You'll be at the top of the list if you do that. So if you do that, more power to you. Also, be sure to check us out at polypompous.com. Yes, that other name that exists. Not the pompously political, but Polypompous. We also have at Polypompous, which is our Twitter. I love it when people tweet me. Oh, it's amazing. I get all like, man, it's almost like when people tweet me, it's like pouring warm Cavassier all over my body, and I just feel, oh, so good. So be sure to hit us up on Twitter, man. Tweet me. We also got the Facebook up, ladies and gentlemen. Which, Facebook is kind of like our mode these days. My grandma uses Facebook. My neighbor, if he wants to borrow a cup of sugar, most likely he'll send me a Facebook message. That's where we're at in our society, Scott. So if you guys got Facebook stuff that you want to throw at us, articles that are interesting you want us to talk about, throw it up on Facebook, man. We'll get it. Tag us in there. I think you can do a hashtag now on Facebook, even. I didn't even know what a hashtag was until recently. So with that, man, I'm thoroughly satisfied. I got a new computer, ladies and gentlemen. That's the other thing I want to bring up. So I am no longer in the realm of instability. That is my computer problems. So that is a thing in the past. So I'm up and running. So, woohoo! I've said that like I've woohooed like 5 times, Scott.
You're very careful tonight.
Yeah, you need to like rein me in with my woohoos, man. You'd be like, okay, that's enough. It's enough.
Sorry, my head's
so happy.
My head's starting to hurt, so I'm zoning out.
All right, man. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm raising my hands up at the completion, and have a week.
Get my hands up. All right, take care. Keep thinking.